PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
She just goes a little mad sometimes.
Do you ever feel like you're normal and the rest of the world has lost its collective mind?
Put your helmet on. We'll be reaching speeds of 3.
Do you find people saying this to you a lot?
Are you totally deranged?
Are you looking for a looking glass to pass through?
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Or looking for a rabbit hole to fall down?
Who could think of a better punishment, really? Everything's the same here, it's just a little worse.
Guess what?
Life's a bitch. Now so am I.
You found it. Welcome to Platinum Rose's Garden.
Hello, my darlings. I'm Platinum Rose Lady, welcoming you to another week here on Platinum Rose's Garden. It is Saturday, November 2nd, 2019, and I know you're all asking one simple question. Where the hell have you been? Yeah, sorry. We had a couple of problems, so that's why I've been a little late with this recording of the last 2 episodes of Supernatural. One of them we can blame on Mother Nature. The problem was that the day that the second episode of Supernatural for the season aired, the night before the episode, there was a pretty bad storm here in Massachusetts, high winds and rain and all kinds of chaos and craziness, and we lost our cable. So, it was like, okay, well, this is annoying. And we lost our cable for we lost it in the morning after I left for work, and then we lost it the rest of the afternoon and into the night. And we didn't get it back until we came home from work the next day. And, Friday, when we came home, we were like, oh, the cable's back, yay. And I was like, well, okay, I can watch my show. So I went and checked to see if it had been recorded. It hadn't, which I kind of figured was going to happen. So I was like, okay, so, well, I'll just, I was like, okay, don't panic. I'll just wait a couple of days and see if it shows up on the on-demand system, and then we'll watch it then. It didn't. Okay, so I'm like, okay, now we're up to plan C, and we'll just wait until the actual episode for episode 3 comes on. It'll be on before that, I'm sure it will. It wasn't. So I had to wait even a little longer, and then had to check with the CW, on the computer, and wound up watching episode 2 and episode 3 back to back on the computer, and then between just life happening, here we are. Sorry. So that's where I've been. How have you been? I hope everybody had a great Halloween. Ours was, quiet. It was pretty quiet. Not many kids, as far as I could tell. I know a lot of people don't do the whole trick-or-treat thing as much anymore. They have parties for kids and stuff, which is fine. But, I miss the days of trick-or-treating when you just stayed out until you wanted to go home. A lot of places around here have, you have to, have Halloween at trick-or-treating at set times, from this time to this time. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Because we don't have children, so I don't have to keep up with this crap. But I'm like, you know what? I remember when it was you went out after dark, after dinner, you went out, you trick-or-treated till you got tired, and then you went home. That was it. I mean, granted, we didn't stay out super duper late or anything like that, but it's just a simple fact of that's the man telling us what to do. And as they said in Empire Records so succinctly, damn the man. My husband will be so happy I got that quote in. So let's just talk about some other stuff real quickly, even though I know you're all going, would you please just get to the episode recap and just get this over with, you nut? I just wanted to bring up real quick, in case I haven't brought it up previously, although I'm pretty sure I have. I have another channel. I already have this channel, obviously, and Ring Around the Rosie, which is my wrestling podcast. And I have another channel on YouTube called Platinum Rose RolePlay. And my RolePlay channel only has 3 videos on it so far. But they are stuff that I've done. Roleplay works that I have done. And, the most recent one is actually not a roleplay, but a poem that I wrote and that I read out, and my sweet, patient, incredible husband came up with some stuff for me to put on there so it's not just a blank screen while I'm reading poetry. So if you would be so kind to check out YouTube's and just type in Platinum Rose Roleplay in the search engine, and you can find my stuff. And if you like it, if you could, sign up for my channel, subscribe, and all that stuff, that would be super cool. It's been really fun to do. I am a voice actress, trying to be, and I'm an actress semi-professional. I've never been, thrown off stage, and I've never been paid, but nobody's ever left or thrown anything, so I think that should count for something. Speaking of Halloween, obviously one thing happened after Halloween that we have to talk about, and that was our own sweet, wonderful Jensen Ackles, who decided to grace our computer screens. Last year, Jensen, for Halloween, dressed as the Red Hood, which is the character that he actually did the voice for in the incredible animated film Batman Under the Red Hood, which if you have not seen it, why the hell not? Go see it. Go find it. It's awesome. I own a copy. So he dressed last year as Jason Todd / the Red Hood, and it was amazing. And I never thought that Jensen would be able to top that look last year. And then this year rolls around, and Jensen proves me wrong. I can't believe anybody out there who calls themselves a Supernatural fan has not seen this yet, but in case you've been in a cave for the past week or so, Jensen dressed as Batman for Halloween, and there are pictures. They are online. They are amazing. These pictures would drive a sinner to church. I'm sorry, these pictures are just, oh my gosh. There's a lot of words I could use. Actually, I'm going to use them anyway. So fucking hot. Seriously, I'm looking at this picture and I'm thinking these pictures of Jensen as the Dark Knight, and all I'm thinking is, why are we getting Robert Pattinson as Batman? Why? Why is Jensen Ackles not playing Batman? Why? DC, why? Why do you do this? Why do you hate us so much? Because we all know that Robert Pattinson, or as someone that I follow online decided to call him Fancy McSparkles, or as my husband calls him, Bat Sparkles. I'm sorry, I just love all of those. Robert Pattinson, as of right now, will be playing Batman in the next Batman film that is supposed to come out in 2021, I think. I'm like, okay, fine. I mean, I like Robert as an actor. I actually think he's a good actor. I've seen him in other things besides Twilight, because we saw all the Twilight movies because I'm a good friend. Because a friend of ours wanted to go because she read the book, so we went with her because I'm a good friend. I did wear, at one of the Twilight movies, I did wear a Team Winchester t-shirt, and nobody approached me. I got a lot of glares, but nobody approached me. I can't think why they didn't approach me. I look approachable. I look harmless. I've been cultivating that look for years. I ought to look harmless, damn it. But I'm sorry. They dropped the ball. I'm sure Robert will be great, but he's not Jensen Ackles, so fuck it. And on that mature statement, let's get to what you actually came for this week, this week's double header Supernatural episode recap.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
Season 15, Episode 2 of Supernatural, Raising Hell. then is dealing with how all this stuff happened and how we got to where we got to. The fact that God's basically told the Winchesters, fine, this is the end, and emptied out all of the souls in hell, and that things have gone incredibly wrong, and the fact that now these ghosts have been trapped in a small town in Kansas. The ghosts that were already freed from hell, there are still ghosts souls pouring out of hell that are, able to possess people and act as, ghosts and cause all kinds of mayhem and craziness. So we cut to now, and now is in the town of Harlan, Kansas, which is the town that the cemetery is part of, where hell has been opened up, and where the Winchesters and their intrepid band of angels and witches and everybody else have been able to trap the spirits. So the people of the town have been moved out of town to a high school with Sam and Dean and Cass doing the whole federal agents thing, saying there's a dangerous chemical leak and that's why they had to evacuate the whole town. So we are at, as I mentioned, now in Harlan, Kansas. A woman named Nan has gone back into town. She snuck back in from the high school, and she is surprised to see another person there who she talks to as Rob. It's a neighbor of hers named Rob. And she starts kind of talking, and she's obviously very nervous. And she's talking about how she snuck back into town to get her daughter's medicine and get her inhaler, and talking about her daughter worrying about the spelling bee being canceled and all this stuff like that. And all of a sudden, Rob, who's just been standing there and really hasn't even acknowledged that Nan is standing in front of him, all of a sudden violently grabs Nan and stabs her in the stomach until she is dead. Rob then falls also to the ground, and a ghost, which was obviously possessing Rob and used Rob to murder Nan, has left Rob's poor body left behind and leaves. The ghost is a man who's dressed in old time clothing from the looks of it from the 1800s. So we cut to the opening credits and now. And now is the high school where everybody's waiting to hear what's going on and when they can get back to their town because of the supposed benzene leak, blah, blah, blah. People, needless to say, are getting antsy and restless and annoyed because they're not getting the answers they want to hear, and also because some people are talking about the fact that this person, their friend Nan, has disappeared. We also find out that at least Sam, Dean, and Cass aren't alone anymore just dealing with this town, that there are other hunters here now. I don't know if they're all hunters from this Earth, or if they're hunters from this Earth and hunters from the Apocalypse world. I'm not sure if all of them got slaughtered by Michael last season or not, but at least Sam and Dean aren't alone. That's the important thing. So Sam winds up, trying to get the people to calm down, but they're not really buying it, and Sam's trying to kind of, hold court, and it's not really working all that well. We cut back to the town, and Dean, who is being helped, quote, quote, by Belphegor, the demon who is currently taking a ride in Jack's dead body. Poor Jack. My poor little sweet Jack. I feel so awful. Especially because every time Belphegor talks, I'm like, I want to punch you. I just want to punch you. So they're in the town and, blasting at ghosts with guns full of rock salt and stuff. And the ghost from earlier appears, and Dean winds up shooting him. As it turns out, that ghost is the ghost of a man named Francis Tumblety, who wasn't known to the world, but was known by another name by the world. He was known as Jack the Ripper. So Dean Winchester has killed Hitler, Dean Winchester has shot and killed Adolf Hitler and now shot the ghost of Jack the Ripper. And people say the Winchesters aren't superheroes. Side note, real quick, Francis Tumblety was actually a real person. He was a person that was from Ireland originally and was a person that was of questionable medical, I don't know how else to word this. He was a gentleman of questionable medical, proficiencies. As I mentioned, he was born in Ireland, came to America, was medicine, traveling medicine salesman kind of. I don't know if he traveled or if he stayed in one place, but I don't know if he was an actual doctor or not. I'm not entirely. It's sketchy. It's very, very sketchy. He did go back to Europe and also to England, and also had been living in the East End of London in the Whitechapel area during the time when, a number of prostitutes were murdered, allegedly by one person who was given the name Jack the Ripper. So at one point he was actually a person of interest. So the more you know. So the town, as I mentioned, the people in the town are getting suspicious. And as it turns out, there's other meetings going on, and those ones are even less nice, as they're going on between the ghosts that have escaped hell. We see the ghosts all in one home, and as it turns out, they've decided that they're going to, they're going to try and escape all at once and make things as hard for the hunters as they can by trying to attack en masse and get out of this town and, spread chaos and death as much as possible. We see two more people try and get into the town, and, two more of the residents of the town, and they're promptly caught by two of the ghosts as well. There's a pretty, we see some, we're back in the high school, and we see that Rowena has arrived. Our favorite witch, Rowena, is here. What Sam wants her to do is build a soul bomb, like the one that they were going to use to take out Amara. And she's really hesitant about the idea of whether or not this is going to work. There's a very tense moment between Dean Belphegor and the possessed townspeople who are there along with Jack. I'm going to refer to him as Jack right now because we know this character as Jack the Ripper. And their whole plan is that they're telling Dean that they want the barrier lowered, and if they don't lower it, they're going to torture the people that they're possessing, the ghosts who are going to tear the people apart inside. The thing is, this doesn't work out very well because all of a sudden the ghosts wind up leaving the people because they are hit by a gun with iron flakes in it, and that banishes the ghosts that are possessing the townspeople and also banishes Jack. And it turns out that this is the gun's being wielded by Mr. Ketch. So that's a good thing. Although, as it turns out, it's also kind of an awkward thing when everybody meets up at the high school again. It's very obvious. Well, we already knew that there was a connection of sorts between Ketch and Rowena, because the reason that Ketch is still alive is because he and Rowena had met when she was a captive of the British men of letters. He wound up helping her escape, and through their mutual meeting, let's put it that way, Rowena had given him a resurrection charm, which is how he was able to be brought back to life after Mary shot him before. And there's definitely some UST here between Rowena and Ketch, some unresolved sexual tension going on. And as it also turns out, he's also here for another reason. it turns out that he is also here because he has a job. And the job that he has involves a demon named Ardat. He was hired by a demon named Ardat to kill a specific other demon. The other demon being Belphegor. Awkward. So we cut to Reno, Nevada, because why not? And we see that that is where Amara is. Amara is, well, we knew Amara was in Reno because Chuck had mentioned that previously. We see that she's in a hotel room in Reno. Looks like she's very comfortable there and quite happy there. And is less than happy that she has company from her brother, who takes over the massage that she was getting after smiting her masseuse. Okay. He says that he's there to catch up with her, to check to see how she's doing, you know, since they are brother and sister after all. Amara is less than enthused about him being there, which makes you kind of wonder what exactly happened after they left together way back in season 11, between season 11 and now. What happened on all the, you know, oh, we're going to tour the universes together and find out about each other and so on and so forth and etc. So we're back with the Winchesters and all of the other people that are on their side, and one of them is Castiel, who is really, really, really just hanging on by a thread. I feel so bad for Cass. I mean, he knows that he fucked up. I mean, he knows that he should have told Dean and Sam that something was wrong with Jack, because he knew something was wrong with Jack before Sam and Dean did, and it's very obvious, exceedingly obvious, that Dean blames Cass for the fact that Mary is dead. And I know Dean's in pain. He's taking it out on the wrong person. We'll get to that later. But Cass is he's fed up. You know, I mean, when you think about the fact that this whole thing with Chuck, you know, I mean, Chuck is his father. Could you imagine feeling like you've been lied to your whole life by your father? I mean, and, you know, he's trying to hold on, even though, you know, Dean's also barely holding on. You know, Dean's keeps wondering if anything they did actually made a difference, because all of the stuff that the Winchesters have been through, all of the people that they had to watch die, all of the people that they had to kill because there was no other way out, you know, that was all for Chuck's amusement. And that's really eating at Dean. You can tell that it is. And he's wondering if everything that they did, you know, what was real about it. And Castiel tells him one thing was real about it, that they were real. Now, when he says they, I'm assuming he meant they as in the little family that has kind of sprung up around Cass and Sam and Dean and Jack and, you know, their little family. Because let's be honest, it really seems like Castiel is closer to that family than the angels that he called brother and sister and stuff like that. Just an observation on my part. As it turns out, Rowena needs a lot of stuff for this soul bomb, you know, and they have to try and get all of it together so that, you know, she can make this thing. We see Dean and Ketch walking through the town. They're on night patrol. They're both wearing necklaces made out of iron because that is something that protects from being possessed. The problem is that 2 hunters have gone missing and haven't checked in or anything like that. And when Dean and Ketch go into one building. As they're going into the building, Dean's talking with Ketch and telling him about all this stuff about Chuck and how all of this is what Chuck had done. And Ketch is a little like, okay, because the whole idea of the existence of God was more of a theoretical thing with the British men of letters, and because of that, they don't have any weapons to use against Chuck. Out of all the stuff they have, they don't have any weapons to use against God. Well, that's really kind of not surprising when you think about it. So they go into a building, and they wind up being attacked by a female ghost, and the thing is, this ghost has a small hatchet and is dressed in old-fashioned clothing. I'm like, is that supposed to be the ghost of Lizzie Borden? I guess Supernatural's assuming that she actually did do it, considering she was acquitted. Just saying. Somebody from Massachusetts. Just saying. And we wind up, of course, with some wumpage for Dean and Ketch. But the thing is, before the ghost can get in a killing strike, all of a sudden there's this light and this voice telling the ghost to leave. And the ghost is afraid. As it turns out, it's another ghost. It's the ghost of Kevin Tran. And he looks terrible. He doesn't look like someone who's been to heaven, because if you remember, for a while Kevin was trapped on Earth as a ghost, and when Chuck made his appearance known to the Winchesters as God, he had told Sam and Dean that he was, and said that he had had sent Kevin on to heaven. As it turned out, Chuck did not send Kevin to heaven. He sent him to hell. It's never, at least so far, has not been explained why God sent Kevin to hell. I completely am confused about that. I don't get it. I'm completely confused. I don't understand. He promised Sam and Dean that he was going to send him to heaven. It's just, it baffles me, and I want an answer before this season is over, people. Although, as it turns out, Kevin's actually got a kind of a bad boy reputation in hell, because he was actually sent to hell by God, because, and I don't know if that, I don't know if that means the demons don't hurt him or torture him or whatever, but it's, I don't know. Seriously, I want answers, people. So, like I said, because he was sent to hell by God himself, that makes the other people that are in hell, the other souls, afraid of him. And the thing is, Kevin tells Dean that he can feel the warding around the town. It's fading and fading quickly. And the thing is, if he can feel it fading, that means that the other ghosts are going to be able to feel it fading. So we know that Kevin has this reputation with the souls in hell. The demons, we're not really sure about yet. Back to Reno, Chuck is still talking with Amara as she's doing yoga. Okay. Whatever brings you peace. He's talking with her about the whole idea of leaving Earth behind, about going on a family project to, leave Earth in the rear view mirror and go to other places and create other places, even create a whole new species. Amara ain't buying any of it. As it turns out, as she gets closer with him, physically closer, she is feeling something is very different about Chuck, that something is wrong. And she can feel what it is. That the first, I don't know if it's the first time in millennia or whatever, or even if it's the first time ever, he's scared. And he's also not at his full power. And we know why that is. That it's because of the equalizer that Sam shot him with. And also because the equalizer that Sam shot Chuck with, that has also backfired and caused a wound in Sam. Amara says, that he's looking to her to give him power. He doesn't have enough power to leave Earth. That he's trapped here. And that he's afraid. And she is, really amused by this. We cut back to Reno and we see Chuck, who is looking at himself in the mirror, and he looks at the wound in his shoulder and he touches it, and it's hurting him because the way he flinches, you can tell it's hurting him quite a bit. The thing is, as he flinches in pain, so does Sam. And Dean notices it, obviously. And Sam tries to tell him that, he's okay, it's fine. And I'm like, Sam, tell him you're hurting. Please tell him you're hurting. We cut back to the ghosts who have all gathered in a house again, trying to figure out what to do. Jack the Ripper's still all for just rushing at the the barrier all at once. Kevin shows up trying to play off that he is, that he's there and he's a bad guy and tough guy and all that stuff like that. But they know about his connection to the Winchesters, so the ghosts aren't afraid of him anymore. So that's obviously not a good thing. We cut back to Rowena, who's working on the soul bomb along with Ketch, and things between them are definitely heating up. Rowena's working through magic, Ketch is working through science. So, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and there's some real huge flirting going on here, to the point where it's like they're just going to have sex on a table, aren't they? But we don't get there. We don't get that far because Dean calls Rowena and she has to answer the phone, and Dean's all like, you got to get it done. Rowena, and as it turns out, Rowena and Jack also have a past. There's a surprise. And Jack winds up telling Rowena that the ghosts have Kevin. Ketch winds up banishing Jack again with the gun, tells Rowena to run. Jack reappears and manages to knock Ketch out. Rowena meets up with the Winchesters and Cass, and she tells them about Kevin and what's happened and that the ghosts have him. They wind up going to the house where all the ghosts are meeting. Jack tells the Winchesters, drop the barrier or I'm going to torture Kevin to death in front, or worse than death. I don't even know what that would be. He's going to devour Kevin's soul, and it's exceedingly ugly and nasty. Now this is just Sam and Dean. Rowena and Cass wind up coming in from the other side of the house, and she winds up the crystal's all ready to use as a soul bomb. She winds up sucking up some of the souls into this crystal, but some of them manage to get out. We see that there are hundreds of ghosts now from hell slamming into this barrier, trying to find a weak spot where they can get out. The soul bomb that, they need to have the soul sucked into the crystal to get it to work, is working as Rowena's using it to capture as many souls as she can, until Ketch shows up and winds up backhanding Rowena hard enough that she knocks her to the ground. It turns out that it's actually, it is Ketch, but it's Jack riding in Ketch's body. He's possessed him. And what he plans to do is use the soul bomb himself to blow a hole in the barrier, which will obviously, I would assume, kill all the people in the immediate area. Dean has to make a split-second decision and winds up shooting Ketch in the arm, it looks like. And that winds up getting the soul bomb dropped. Rowena winds up grabbing it and uses it to suck up all of the ghosts that have remained behind, including Jack, as Ketch lays there on the ground bleeding. We see Ketch being put in an ambulance. The thing is, Castiel tells the Winchesters he tried to heal Ketch and he couldn't, which is an exceedingly disturbing thing. Does that mean that Cass's powers are fading? I don't know. Kevin meets up with Sam and Dean and tells them that he's going to stay on Earth. He wants to stay as a ghost. That even though him wandering around as a restless spirit, there's a really good chance that he could go insane. But at least being insane on Earth is better than being, a torture victim in hell. So Belphegor opens the wards enough that Kevin can go. And before he leaves, he tells Sam and Dean that he loves them. And I just thought that was really, really, really beautiful. I was like, wow. I mean, after everything Kevin has been through, you'd think he'd hate the Winchesters, but he doesn't. And I just think that that's really, really beautiful. We cut back to Reno, where Amara tells Chuck that she's leaving alone, that she doesn't want to be with him and she doesn't want to spend time with him, and that she's done with him, And she tells him that, you don't have the power that you once had, and you don't. And she tells him, once long ago, you sealed me away. Now, in a way, I'm doing the same to you. You're trapped, diminished, abandoned. So I guess you got what you want. Sorry, I screwed up the line. So I guess you've got what you've always wanted. You're on your own. And Amara winds up leaving, just vanishes, and he realizes that he's stuck, apparently. He doesn't have enough power to leave Earth, I guess. I don't know. And it's a question of, you wonder if he's losing power. Is it seeping away or what? It's really strange. Back in Harlan, the hole to hell is still open and there's still ghosts, spirits flying out of it. We see the Winchesters, Cass, Rowena, and Belphegor watching as the souls keep fleeing hell and slamming into the barrier, and they don't know how to stop it. I mean, they're just well and truly stuck. When Rowena says, my little toy isn't strong enough to handle all this, we have to find another way before it's too late. Sam says, all right, then that's what we'll do. And Dean asks the question that's on everybody's lips, how? And the episode ends. Boy, this season's really roaring along, I'll tell you. Raising Hell gets 4 bouquets out of 5 from me. I thought it was a really cool episode. I really enjoyed it. Lots of interesting little bits and bobs and goodies and stuff like that. Very cool. It was really, really neat for me to see Frances Tumblety / Jack the Ripper. The actor that played him is an actor named Lane Davies, and I remember him, and I'm about to say how old I am from remembering him. Oh gosh. Sorry, Lane. I remember him when he was on Santa Barbara as Mason Capwell. So that's a long time ago. It was really great to see him again. It was really cool. And I was so happy to see Osric Chow back as Kevin Tran. I feel so sad for Kevin. I mean, I wanted to give him the biggest, squishiest hug. Ostrich, if you can hear this, you have a hug coming from me if you want it. If you totally don't want it, I get it, but you'll always have a hug from me. And that brings us to season 15, episode 3, The Rupture. Then is dealing with everything that's happened, including Jack's death at the hands of Chuck, and Belphegor, and the demon possessing Chuck, and of course Rowena, and the barrier that's been put up around the town of Harlan, Kansas, to keep the world safe from all of the ghosts that are fleeing hell because Chuck emptied hell to punish Sam and Dean. And now we're at now. And the hunters that are in the town, including Sam and Dean and, friends of theirs and stuff, they are dangerously close to being overwhelmed by all of these spirits. I mean, when you think about the idea that these are spirits that have been in hell since hell existed, however long ago that was, and that's a lot of people, and that the ghosts are slamming into the barrier faster and faster and faster, and eventually they're going to break it. So they wind up at the cemetery where Rowena is going to use a spell to attempt to patch up the barrier, and they go into the crypt where they hid before at the episode 1 of this season, so Rowena can cast the spell. And at first, it seems like it's going to work, and then it doesn't. And Rowena tells them that they're all going to die. And if Rowena's saying that, shit's got real fucking serious. Belphegor winds up walking out of the crypt, and Castiel winds up following after him. Belphegor stands in front of the hole, the rupture, that's in the ground, and says he's got an idea, but Cass isn't gonna like it. So, back inside the crypt, as I said, Rowena tells them that they're gonna die, that she feels the fury of all of the ghosts, and that there's no magic on Earth that's gonna be able to stop them. She says that they only have a few hours left. Dean, meanwhile, is like, well then, fuck that. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna fucking die swinging. Sam, needless to say, is saying that, they have to try to at least find a way to fix this. If they're gonna die, they're gonna die, but they've got to try and find a way to fix it. And Sam's obviously completely overwhelmed, my poor darling. And, sorry, hashtag very upset Samazon. And Dean is working on adrenaline and rage, and that is not a good look. That is not a good look for anybody. Sam he's trying to comfort Rowena, which I thought was exceedingly sweet, because that's Sam. And she says that she needs to be alone. Castiel, like I said, is following Belphegor, who has gone out to look down at the big hole. And Belphegor tells Cass his plan. The plan is to get an artifact which is in hell, something called Lilith's Crook, which is in Lilith's chamber. And what the crook is, it's not a crook. Now, for those of you who are going, what the hell is a crook? As Belphegor explains in the episode, he makes a reference to Little Bo Peep. A crook is a long stick with a curve on the end of it. It's what shepherds used to use to get sheep to go where they wanted them to go. They would lead them. I never knew if they would use the hook to yank a sheep back to where it needed to be. I never quite figured that out. But the thing is, actually, this isn't a crook in that respect. It's a horn. And when this horn is used, all of the souls that have escaped hell will have to be drawn back. And as he's telling Cass about this, Rowena says that she can actually close the rift and that she could seal it up like sealing up a wound once all the souls were inside. She tells Sam she's going to need someone's help to do this spell and that it should be him because he's the closest person around where they're at to being an actual witch, someone who's trained enough in magic that they'd know what they're doing. I can't entirely tell if Sam is flattered by this or not. What would need to happen is that they're going to throw the bomb, which is this, what's going to suck all the souls up, into the rift, and she and Sam will be protected. Dean says that he'll do it. Belphegor says he'll go to get the crook and says that he's going to need protection when he's in hell. He looks over at Cass to do this. And before Cass can say yes, no, or I'll think about it, Dean says, yeah, Cass will go. So Cass gets volunteered. Thanks, Dean. We'll get to how I feel about that a little later. We cut to the hospital that Arthur Ketch is in because he got shot. And he is, wakes up. He's been, drugged out the ass probably. And he's trying to leave, and the nurse who is with him, who is being very nice, is very much like, you can't leave, you've been shot, what are you doing? And he's all basically like, gotta go. His doctor walks into the room, and the nurse is very pleased to see her until she breaks the nurse's neck. As it turns out, the doctor is being possessed. As it turns out, the doctor is being possessed by the demon named Ardat. And for those of you who forgot, Ardat is the demon that was hired by Ketch to kill Belphegor. Ardat is not happy. She proceeds to threaten the hell out of Arthur to get information, and he says that he won't tell her anything. He won't give up his friends. Not at any price. She responds to this by ripping his heart out. I mean, went full on Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, ripped his heart out of his chest. Ick. It was exceedingly disgusting. So pour one out for Arthur Ketch, I guess. Still mad at you for some shit. I'm not mad at you, David. David Hayden Jones, the actor who plays Ketch and is wonderful at it. So I'm actually kind of wondering if that means that he's really dead, though. I'm wondering if the, kind of like the whole resurrection thing. No? I don't know. The supplies that Rowena needs for the spell that she's going to use are delivered to the crypt by one of the hunters, a hunter named Stevie. While this is going on, Dean gets a text from Ketch's phone, which is being sent by Ardat, which Dean doesn't know, and Dean winds up telling her what they're going to do, because he thinks it's Ketch. Damn it. This didn't really go terribly well. So we have Belphegor and Cass about to go into hell, and Cass takes the direct approach to doing this by shoving Belphegor straight into the fissure, which I thought was really, really funny myself. I'm like, oh, we're going the direct approach. Okay. So they make it to Lilith's chamber. As they're going along, Belphegor won't shut up. And, as they're talking, Belphegor is doing what demons do, laying the seeds of, before that he was laying the seeds of deception in Cass, saying that, the Winchesters don't really care about you and all this stuff like that. While they're in hell, while they're heading towards the chambers, he completely lits into Belphegor, telling him that he tells him that it's his wearing of Jack like a coat is intolerable. He tells him that it's an abomination, and he tells Belphegor that Belphegor himself is an abomination in that way that only Cass can do, that Misha Collins does. And Misha Collins, could you please just call me a bad girl? Just once. Could you just call me a bad girl? Just once. Sorry. Sorry y'all had to hear that. Don't kink shame. We all have needs. So they're in hell. They make it to Lilith's chamber. As it turns out, Lilith's chamber has already been opened. There's another demon in there that is looting the place. I don't know how else to word it. And he's not long for hell, because Castiel winds up just killing him, and that doesn't take terribly long. As it turns out, the horn is in a box, and the box has warding on it. Warding that is written in Enochian. So that's the reason that Belphegor wanted Cass to come along, because Belphegor doesn't read Enochian, and Cass does. So Castiel reads the words that are on the box. As it turns out, the words on the box are apparently singing praise to Lucifer, which, since Lilith was the first demon that Lucifer created, I guess makes sense. I don't know. I'm not sure. And nothing happens. That was a letdown. As it turns out, that they need to be sung, because it's apparently a hymn to Lucifer. Okay. So Castiel winds up singing in Enochian, and that actually works. So box opens up, here's the horn, ta-da. So Castiel, just as he's about to give the horn to Belphegor, Ardat shows up and flings Cass into the nearby wall. As it turns out, Ardat actually knows the truth about Belphegor. That Belphegor, with his whole thing that he's been saying, oh, I'm just a 9 to 5, demon. I just punch a clock. I just want things to go back to the way they were in hell, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's all bullshit. As it turns out, he wants all the souls back in hell. That's not wrong. But he wants to rule hell. And he finds that Cass hears all of this before Belphegor winds up killing Ardat. And Belphegor actually tells Castiel what he plans to do. He's going to use the horn and going to draw all the souls back into hell, which sounds like it would be a good thing, except for the fact that when he means hell, he actually means him. He's going to draw all of these souls into him, because all of that will give him power like a god. Not like God. I think he means God, small g, I'm assuming. He shoves Cass away from him and uses the power of the horn, and that starts sending the souls all start, going back, being pulled back, yanked back to hell. and being yanked into the crook. And because they're being yanked into the crook, they're being yanked into Belphegor, or into Jack's body is more accurate. Man, you all see where this is going. While all of this is going on, we see Rowena, Sam, and Dean doing what they need to do up above. And the thing is, Rowena knows something's gone wrong with the spell and says that it's not, the one that she's using isn't working. She says that she has one last spell she can try. And before she does it, though, she yanks out the resurrection charm that she had in her body. She tells Sam that there is a spell that she has and that it will work and it will pull all of the souls. That it's a spell that needs only two things: the blood in her veins and her last breath. That this spell is going to draw all of the souls that apparently aren't being drawn into hell right now into her, where they will be trapped in her body and they will be slowly released from her body. But the thing is, she can't take her own life because it means too much to her. She can't, even at the risk of the world being overrun with spirits from hell, she can't find it in herself to kill herself. She tells Sam that what was in the notebooks that Death had, all those notebooks that say how people are going to die, Rowena's notebook said that Sam was going to be the one to kill her. Sam's got to kill her. And Sam can't do this. Sam, in spite of himself, I mean, he likes Rowena. He cares about Rowena. And Sam's just a nice person and doesn't just arbitrarily like killing people. But she tells him that if he doesn't do this, the world's gonna die. And Dean's gonna die. That will he let that happen? And he knows the answer is no. And Sam holds on to Rowena and stabs her. While all of this is happening, Castiel and Belphegor are fighting in hell. And Castiel is beating the living shit out of Belphegor because he's, this is all going on at the same time as this stuff happening above. And he manages to stop Belphegor from using the horn, which is why the spell stopped working up above. And as he's got Belphegor on the ground and he's just beating the shit out of him, Belphegor starts speaking to Cass in Jack's voice. He's not using that smirky, sneery kind of voice that's been coming out of Jack's mouth. He's using that sweet voice that we knew from Jack. That it's Jack's voice pleading with Cass to stop hurting him. Cass hesitates for just like a tiny second and then snarls, "Liar," and burns Belphegor, completely destroying the horn and also burning Jack's body completely to ash. Well, the ashy skeleton kind of deal. So Castiel winds up coming up out of the hole to hell. Dean asks what happened, and Castiel says that he killed Belphegor and that the horn has been destroyed. And Dean's all like, what the fuck? And also starts telling Cass off. But they see that the ghosts, the spirits and stuff are being, while they're still coming out of hell, they're the ones that didn't get sucked into the horn already, or even the ones that, I don't know if the ones that got sucked into Belphegor got spit out. I don't know which. The ghosts are being drawn into Rowena, who's walking towards the hole in the ground, and she's walking with this big gaping wound in her stomach. And Sam's walking behind her, and Sam just looks just shattered. And she says goodbye to them, in this very cheeky, goodbye boys kind of thing. And she pulls, she tells them goodbye, like I said, and she falls into the fissure and falls into hell. And the fissure to hell, once she's taken into you see it like falling into a pit of fire, it shuts. So, hell is closed. The spirits of hell are back where they belong. The earth is saved again. And Rowena's gone. And you can look at Sam, and I think if it's possible to die of a broken heart, Sam's real close. I mean, it really, really sucks. So we cut back to the Bat Cave in Lebanon, Kansas. Dean's checking on Sam, and Sam is super barely holding on. They find out from a call from Stevie, the hunter from previously, everything's back to normal in Harlan. Everything's, no more ghosts. Everything's cool. People are coming back to the town. Everything's fine. And also lets Sam know that Ketch was found dead, and that it was, it was ugly. It was probably done by a demon. He tells Sam that he did the right thing when it came to Rowena, that there was no choice. And because of Rowena's sacrifice and Sam's sacrifice, that once again, they stopped another apocalypse that Chuck had tossed at them. We see Dean in the library getting a drink, and Cass comes to him and asks him how Sam's doing. He talks about being sorry that Rowena had to give her life, and that he tells him that something had gone wrong. He says, "You know this. Something always goes wrong." And Dean fires back with, "Yeah, why does that something always seem to be you?" And I was like, what did you just say? Dean then goes on to blame Cass for Rowena dying, because even though he knows that Belphegor basically played all of them. And Dean, I'll get to it in a minute. Castiel now really knows, that Dean still blames him for Mary dying. And he tells Dean, you used to trust me. Give me the benefit of the doubt. Now you can barely look at me. My powers are fading, and I've tried to talk to you over and over, and you just don't want to hear it. You don't care. I'm dead to you. You still blame me for Mary. Well, I don't think there's anything left to say. And Castiel turns, and Dean's like, where are you going? Castiel answers him, Jack's dead. Chuck's gone. You and Sam have each other. I think it's time for me to move on. Castiel leaves, and Dean lets him go. Dean Winchester lets the angel that pulled him out of hell leave. Doesn't even try to call him back. And the episode ends. I am giving the Rupture 4.5 bouquets out of 5. Such a heartbreaking episode, just unbelievably painful. It really fucking sucked to say goodbye to both Ketch and Rowena. It sucks. Oh man, I fucking hate goodbyes. I'm really bad at goodbyes, and they suck. They really suck. And I brought this up online after this episode, and I realize what I'm about to do is going to probably earn me the wrath of a lot of Dean Divas out there. And you know what? That's okay. I'm cool with that. Y'all want to be mad at me? Be mad at me. I love Dean Winchester. I do. I love Dean. Right now, I don't like Dean very much. Right now, to borrow a line from Tony Stark in Captain America Civil War, I'd like to punch you in your perfect teeth. That's how I feel about Dean right now. How fucking dare you, Dean Winchester? How fucking dare you? If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. PlatinumRoselle@yahoo.com. I'll be your lightning rod of hate. Tell me I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. Supernatural was obviously not on this past week because, hello, Halloween. The next episode coming up is called Atomic Monsters, which has me exceedingly concerned. I'm like, so the Winchesters are going up against Godzilla? I'm like, no, I love Godzilla. No, I don't know what's going on. I'm freaked. I gotta be honest. I'm really, really freaked. But we'll definitely find out what's gonna happen together. Okay, we obviously have to talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room, because he ain't going no place. On the 26th of October, Jared was arrested outside of Stereotype, which is a bar that he's involved with. There was an incident, and Jared wound up being arrested. There was, he was allegedly arrested because he was allegedly drunk outside, and was, there are also two counts of misdemeanor assault. That's hard to say. And since this happened, a lot of people have lost their fucking shit. It wasn't pretty, and Jared was released that evening, on bond. And as I mentioned, since this got out there, a lot of people have lost their fucking shit. TMZ, who isn't worth the paper to piss on them, ran a bunch of stuff about Jared, a bunch of other sites who can all go fuck themselves with a rusty metal dildo, posted pictures of his mugshot and, alleged video footage of the fight and all this other shit like that, and you people can all go fuck a duck. And I know a lot of people would like to, be like excusing this and hand waving this, but we can't. If we're all adults, we can't. Because let's be perfectly honest. If the person that was arrested and all this blah blah was your neighbor next door, none of this would be getting any airtime or press or anything else. And you and me, if I'm being brutally honest with myself, would probably be like, oh, that was a dumb thing to do. Oh well, moving on. We all wouldn't be devoting this much time and energy to it. Now, the reason that we are devoting all this time and energy to it, and also the reason some people are acting like fucking fuck clowns, is because it is Jared. And we do care about him. Jared is a grown man, though. And the best thing that you and me and everybody else who calls themselves either a fan of Supernatural or a fan of Jared or however you want to word it, the best thing for us to do is be like, wow, dude, that was dumb. Sorry that you did that. Hope everything works out okay. I mean, to be perfectly fucking honest, a lot of people have done a shit ton of worse stuff. Jared got drunk and made some dumb mistakes. At least Jared didn't get behind the wheel of a car and kill somebody. The way some people act, you'd think that he had, which he most certainly did not. And other people who want to be completely careless with their words, who have referred to Jared as an abuser, need to shut the fuck up. Abuser is not a word that you throw around lightly. Jared got drunk and acted the fool. Jared is a 30-year-old, a man in his 30s. They do that sometimes. Actually, some men do that into their 40s, 50s, and so on and so forth, and some women too. So if on the odd chance that there's actually a male Supernatural fan out there hearing this, you don't go, hey, you're picking on men exclusively, blah, blah, and all that crap. Because I know women get drunk and do stupid shit too. I won't mention the women, but anyway. Because of all of this, and possibly on the advice of his lawyer or whomever, Jared had to cancel being at a con this weekend. And that decision, which is a completely fucking understandable one, has caused some people to be completely like, oh, everything's all so awful. Oh, how could Jared do that to us? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I have a real special remark for you people, and it starts with fuck and it ends with you. If you were any kind of true fan of Jared's, you'd be like, wow, he should be home with his family, trying to pull his stuff together and trying to figure out how to get out of the mess that, let's be honest, he put himself in by being drunk and aggro. I'm not saying that people who went to this con, who spent a lot of money on this con, getting their hotel, photo ops and all that, although creation, y'all could kind of knock the price down a little bit. I'm not saying those people don't have a right to be disappointed, because they do. They absolutely have a right to be disappointed. But the way some of you motherfuckers are carrying on, it reminds me of the fact that while I love Supernatural, some of the fandom just makes me go, you know what? Just fucking really? All right. I had enough with the ranting. I know you've all probably had enough with the ranting. I'm super duper sorry if I've offended people, if I've hurt people. I can't say I didn't mean to, because the words I used were harsh and they were meant for the people who are being completely like, oh, it's all about me and my needs, when Jared is the person that you kind of should be focusing your energy on. And I'd also like to bring up the fact that part of the reason that Jared had to cancel is probably because, let's be honest, there's been more than one or two cons out there that people have been at where people have asked questions that are wildly fucking inappropriate. Whether they're questions about certain character pairings or whatever, you know who you are, you know what you did. And you know some fucking fuckwit would get up there and start asking Jared deeply personal questions about what happened that night. You know somebody would. Don't lie to yourself. Or they would ask other people. I really, if this con is going on and anybody hears this while the con is still going on, don't fucking do that. Don't be that person, please. But I just needed to get that out there. I needed to say what I needed to say. I'm not sorry I said it. Maybe I could have been a little gentler about it. I do tend to be an iron fist and an iron glove sometimes. But Jared, more than anything else right now, Jared needs our support. We can acknowledge. There's a saying that, I know this might bother some people who aren't people of faith, of whatever faith. There's a saying, love the sinner, hate the sin. If you prefer it in a non-religious manner, love the player, hate the game. And it's not a game to get drunk and get into punch-up, but y'all know what I mean. Jared, I don't know if you're ever going to hear this or not. I'd like to think you are. I hope you're well. I hope your family's well. Dial it back next time a little bit. Just dial it back a little, bro. And I just want everybody to be okay. There's so much anger in the world right now. Everybody's screaming at everybody else about something, and everybody's so ready to tell the other person, not only are you wrong, you're a bad person. Just, the guy made a mistake. He fucked up. Let's all try and move on from that, okay? All right, cats and kittens, before I ski to the daddle on out of here, I got a couple of other things I have to tell you, including that we've got something new for you, something to help us continue to bring you the best websites and podcasts possible. It's called the PNRNetworks Patron Circle. PNRNetworks shows like Platinum Rose's Garden and sites throughout the network do not use advertising. We depend on our listeners and readers to help us out. So I'm making a personal appeal to all my Supernatural fans out there to please take the time to join the Patron Circle. It's just $5 a month. That's the cost of one large latte in most areas. That's a measly 17 cents a day. And members of the Patron Circle are going to be getting a ton of extra exclusive features throughout the entire network, including additional podcasts, extra articles, special features, opportunities to be involved with different stuff that we do, special polls, early access to specials, cool fun gifts every now and then, and your monthly membership fee will help us to do even more for you, our loyal readers and listeners. And if you join by November 10th, you're going to get 2 very cool perks right off the bat. A Patron Circle Charter membership certificate and an inclusion in a very special Thanks for Giving Thanksgiving video. You'll also get a shout out on our various podcasts as well as listed in our Patreon Circle's members list. So won't you please join us? Go to patreon.com/PNRNetworks and sign up today. You won't be billed until the first day of the following month, and you'll always be billed on the first day of the month as well. Your monthly $5 membership will go a long way towards helping PNR Networks grow into 2020 and beyond. So sign up for the PNR Networks Patron Circle today and help support my show, Platinum Rose's Garden, and all the PNR Network shows and sites. This is really something cool that we want to do for you guys. We want to be able to do all kinds of fun, crazy things for you because we love talking about stuff on the internet with you guys. We love doing our movie podcast, my wrestling podcast. TC has his own shows, his disaster movie show, Catastrophe Vortex, and 3-Minute Weekend and Tuesday Digidex, his shows talking about upcoming movies and DVD releases and things like that, which are very cool and let you know where to spend your money. And also other shows that are part of our little family, including Aunt B's Nerd Grotto over on YouTube and Cavebabble. We have all kinds of fun things that we're doing, and we want you guys to be part of it, and we want to make it more fun and more interactive and more enjoyable for you. And that's why we've got this Patron Circle, ready to go. And all you got to do is join up. It's just a little bit of coin, and we want to use it to help us give you more fun shows. If you would like to write to me about your opinion of Supernatural so far this season, how you think things are going, where do you think things are going, platinumrosel@yahoo.com. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at platinumrosel@twitter.com. And as I mentioned previously, I have some work that I'm doing on Platinum Rose RolePlay. That's hard to say when you're sober. Over on YouTube, and you can check me out over there. And that is going to do it for another week here on Platinum Rose's Garden. I am signing off for another week. Platinum Rose Lady here, saying love the ones you hug the ones you love, and take some time to stop and smell the roses. See you around. Bye.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.